your live markup.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A roll call, Mr. Domkowski,
Here.
Mr. Baya.
Here.
Mr. McDermott,
Here.
Mr. Dearson,
Yes.
Mr. Stevens,
Here.
Mr. Cortez.
Here.
Mr. Rossi.
Here.
Okay, under public comment, I sent everyone an email regarding a piece of property off of Hudson Street that I believe Mr. Knox and Mr. Patel are interested in, and I asked Chuck to prepare a resolution after their presentation. So gentlemen, you're on.
We'll go first, we can do this home.
I just want to put on the record that Rob and I had a brief conversation about this when I was out in Park City, Utah. And he gave me a little bit of an overview. And I had said, a good thing to do would be to bring Jeff Knox in and yourself and talk to the board. So that was pretty much the nature of our conversation.
Well, thank you. Again, my name is Jeff Knox, and I'm a real estate developer and own a real estate company, in addition to a recent purchase of Bill Lake Modular Homes down in Scrapers in Canada. And we're interested in this piece. We'll call it a sliver that connects to the larger part in the back. Bob and I were kind of talking about a number to present, and I just want to let you know how the conversation went. Right? It's $1,000. So I go home, and my wife said, "How was your day?" And I said, "It was good." "And what'd you do?" I said, "I think I bought a piece of property today," right? And she said, "Tell me about it." I said, "It's a little piece, got a transformer on the front of it." She said, "What can you do with it?" I said, "I don't think anything." She said, "How much you pay?" And I said, $1,000. She said, "Will you see if they'll take a credit card so we at least get the air miles?" So
Maximize.
with that being said, because it's a piece that connects the rest of the subdivisions that we're looking at. I think impressive plan coming in for Widow Susan, negotiating with the part that's just behind it. And I think we do something really special in Amsterdam. I'm very excited about being here. I've done most of my subdivisions in Saratoga. We've done a couple thousand units over the years. And I'm looking at the markets, the Saratoga market, the Boston market, the Clifton Park market. They're pricing everybody out. And people need a reasonable place to live. And Amsterdam, I think, is the perfect location for that. So just very excited about being part of it, and hopefully get to know you down the road with other projects we can put together. And I guess with that being said,
Yeah. So, in my lifetime, I've seen the city go down. When I graduated from high school in 1981, the mills were moving out. You couldn't get a job. There was nothing. When I got in the real estate market, a 3-bedroom house sold for $45,000. Now, towards the end of my real estate career, I look at, and real estate is selling for $250,000 for that same house. And new construction is happening, and you're talking anywhere from $250,000 on up. Besides the 1950s, the post-war boom with the residents over on Sylvia Lane, Jonathan Lane, and off of Van Dyke, we've never seen a development that like Jeff is going to put together. And just to familiarize you with our original plans were just to come in off of, I'm just looking to see if that map.
Yes, it will show it.
Okay. Anyways, we were looking to come in off of Widow Susan Road. And we still intend to do that. There's going to be 5 entrances. One is going to be separate for apartments. The other one will have a clubhouse for the residents. We'll have apartments or condos and single family homes. Okay, we're up here. That's right here, right that part. So if you look, Joe, right up a little further, you'll see where there's a little Z parcel where Catherine Street comes over, and there's a major creek that goes through there. So it's no longer accessible from Catherine Street. This was not in our plans in the beginning. Our plans were just to come in and But this will give us a good opportunity to run utilities up through there and to avoid doing anything on Widow Susan. So the project, just so you know, is a $65 million project. The largest project that residential Amsterdam has ever seen.
What does the project involve?
It's gonna involve 38 single-family houses.
Right now, there's 154 apartments, different variations. There's 16-unit buildings, there's 3-unit buildings, there's townhouse-style buildings. So it's a nice mix. And if you know the creek, the Baca reference, it actually bisects the property, which creates a nice subdivision for the multifamily and the for sale product. So on the one side will be the apartments, on the other side will be condominiums, and typically 4-unit condominiums. You have 2 up and 2 down with an HOA. We'll have townhouse style in addition to larger lot single family. So it'll be a nice blended approach. We've done something similar to a couple of these in the town of Alston, and it's really just a nice mix. It has different layers and different levels for most consumers. The condos are great for seniors, even for the young professionals. They don't want to have the maintenance. They're usually priced competitively. And then, of course, the townhouse is a step up, and then the single families, for folks and families that want a yard and something a little bit more meaningful, I guess, in a home. So there'll be different layers. The clubhouse we're very excited about that sits central to the subdivision. It'll be about 5,000 square feet. There'll be a real sense of community where people will be able to come and have parties and just have a sense of community coming together. That to me is something that's it's needed in these types of communities. Everybody's on their phones, everybody's on their computer, nobody gets out anymore. We need points to connect. So we're hopefully looking to make a difference here.
How big is the lot?
44 acres.
Do you own it?
That
We're
map, does that
we're buying
represent
from
the
the
whole
school
place,
district.
or is that just a
It's just a corner of it.
corner?
Go ahead,
Yeah, that just, so Jeff, you're saying up like northeast is
Yeah.
where the lot is. So we're seeing the southern part.
It starts right here.
So you don't own it yet?
We have contract, and typically what we'll do is we'll go through, and when you see our contract, the one that we're hopefully going to submit to you, it's going to be contingent on the other approvals, because without those approvals, this piece really doesn't work. And that's just the way we buy property.
Sure. So you're in the process of purchasing from the school district?
Yeah,
And what's the timeline for that?
Well, it's always a good question, because you're working with all the government agencies, there's a lot of other variables. Right now, we've done the wetlands, we've done the topography, we're gonna have to do archaeological and environmental. I suspect we could do that in the next couple months. There's a resolution on May 19th to actually give permission to the school to sell the land. We've already negotiated the deal. And, so it looks like it's moving forward on that front.
How much is the school district asking?
I'm not gonna mention that.
Okay.
Because it's somewhat confidential to me, and it was appraised, and I paid $1,000 more than the appraisal. I have this $1,000 anyway.
Chuck, I hadn't seen the letter of intent that's mentioned.
Yeah,
So at some point I'd like to see
it's
that.
pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
But
So-
I have a full contract, with, basically with contingencies that I have to make.
Is that something you could share with our attorney?
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
guessing that it's contingencies in that contract.
I did, everyone's triggered by the approvals.
So you wouldn't be looking to purchase from us until those contingencies have been met.
Yeah, the piece is really meaningless unless we tie everything.
Yeah, I understand that.
But I'm hoping to move it quickly. The city, the mayor has just been awesome. They
Sure.
really, we have a lot of tailwinds, and we have to go through zoning and go through the city. But I think once we get to that point, I think we can move very rapidly.
You said the seeker process is not quite done yet?
It hasn't even started.
Okay.
We have to get to planning, we have to get to the.
So that's the environmental
Yeah.
process of, are there wetlands and what are you doing?
Well,
with
we have the
them?
wetlands delineated.
Yeah,
So
obviously,
the
you got a
budget
creek
is-
going through it.
No, but
We've
there's
already completed that.
Okay,
So we've done the topography to really figure out where can we concept this.
okay.
We've done the wetlands for the same reason, because they were looking at these buffers that we were able to kind of work within. And so we know what the template is, we know what the palette how it looks like.
Mhm.
So we were able to concept it based on that. Now archaeological, sometimes you can find arrowheads and you gotta work around it, and environmental, I don't expect we're gonna have any issues on that, but it sounds like you understand development a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have access to Widow Susan?
Through this, with the school district.
For,
This property.
For this
Yeah,
property?
This property fronts probably 1,000 feet.
Yeah, there'll be 4 access points along Little Susan, so there's a lot of curb cuts that get you in and out.
Is the only seller the school district?
It is.
Okay. And obviously you haven't done the zoning and the planning yet.
No.
Okay.
But again, with Mayor Mike, being in full support, he seems
Sure.
to think we can get it through.
Well, from what you're saying, it sounds like a terrific project, but it sounds very much in the early stages.
It is, and again, I've been doing this for a very long time.
Sure.
And my first deal that I put together was in Clifton Park, and it took 6 months, and I'm like, wow, this is easy. My second deal was 7 years. And we had a couple of chip shots in between, but you know the process. I don't anticipate that with the city. There are some towns that just make it difficult for you. It's almost by design. County, City of Saratoga,
Sure.
did a subdivision in the city,
Sure.
and that's tough.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
I understand, and I agree with Rob that there is demand without question. But very much in the early stages.
Yes.
So it's nothing that we have to vote on today.
No, but I would like to have some type of an agreement or, in place before moving forward.
Well, there would have to be some kind of contingency
Sure.
that, yes, we'll deed this to you, but you have to have these approvals before we deed it to you. In other words, we have to be aware that this is really a viable project, and I hope it is. Then if we have a piece of land that's going to be very helpful to you, certainly. But again, we're at the early stages.
Is that the precedent, Chuck, too?
Is that what you have prepared for tonight, Chuck?
No, I think, I don't have it in front of me. But I think I prepared,
This
you
resolution.
can't see that, yeah, I gotta remember, so thanks. Yeah, so, and Phil's right, I mean, normally what it would have been in here would have been, you're going to execute a purchase and sale contract in accordance with the terms of the letter of intent.
Mhm.
In this case, the letter of intent didn't have much in it. It had some good information in it, but the only terms were like how much money, and so it's a little premature. I mean, I guess the board could vote to accept the letter of intent, but I would want to see a contract with the conditions in it before I would. I know they're going to be normal conditions. I've seen 1,000 of them,
Sure.
but from the board's perspective, I kind of agree.
Yeah, so we're required as a board to do due diligence, which means having you come, thank you for coming to the board, and you give us an idea of what's going on. It sounds exciting, but we have an obligation then to ask you questions and to see where this is and where we are in our possible assistance to you. And the other concern, only because of my experience with the city, is, we've dealt with people before, not saying you, Jeff, but, they have all these plans, and then you deed something to them, and all the plans fall apart, but now they have that piece of property. So that's why I'm saying I think it's in a very early stage. It sounds exciting. I agree with Rob that this area is prime for that. If you're off Widow Susan Road, you're off Route 5. Presumably you can get permission from DOT to make the appropriate road cuts. And there is demand. And Saratoga is being outpriced. So it eventually has to come this way. So
I
it's exciting.
sorry, you done? I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah. No, that's it, Chuck.
Okay, I do think we can do it next month, but I would like to see a contract. Now, I'm presuming everything in your contract is gonna protect the situation that Judge Cortez is talking about from happening. So you're not gonna buy it, it's gonna protect you, right? Because you're not gonna buy it, and we don't wanna sell it until all of the conditions are met with whatever contract you have with something else. So in other words, you wouldn't close on it with us until you got the seeker, until you got the environmental, until you got the planning, the zoning. You don't want to buy it early, and we don't want to sell it early.
Sure.
So our interests are really kind of aligned. So if you could give me a contract, and it's pretty basic, until all of the contingencies have expired, and then we would close on it then. And so we could approve that contract next month. I think that would satisfy.
Yeah, and,
Everything.
the $1,000 is almost like a dollar. Although I did understand that our executive director suggested 50,000.
50,000.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's his job. That's his job. But I mean, if we're in a position to help you, once you've gotten all those approvals and you're set and ready to dig up the ground, then we want to be in a position. That's one of the things that we do as a board.
Yeah, that's right. We could approve the contract, and the closing date I know is way off down the road. And you're okay with that, because I know you don't want to buy it for nothing, right? So you want to make sure you have all the approvals, and we want to make sure the same thing.
Right.
So the closing date would be whenever you're done with all of this stuff.
Yeah, you want to be ready to go.
Sure. I just want to make sure that if we're designing our engineering, to bring utilities through, that we're going to have, and there's not going to be any hiccups.
Well, hopefully there'll be no hiccups.
Right.
Like, for instance, you buy the property and we give you the deed to that, and you decide that maybe it's not worth as much if I develop it than if I sell it. So, and then now it's off to some other person we don't know anything about, who doesn't have your experience.
No, but if I sell it, they'll still need the access.
Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
it's still a
Sure.
critical piece of the puzzle.
Right.
But you
So,
can have access to the land
Mhm.
to do engineering,
Right.
to do environmental.
Oh, we can
And
give
that's
you that.
usually built into the contract anyway, so.
So I think what we're looking for here today is as firm of a commitment from AIDA that we feel comfortable, okay? Because we're expending money now, hundreds of thousands of dollars to put this together.
Mhm.
And, we came to the city when no one else wanted to.
Mhm.
And it's a good opportunity, and we want to be good neighbors.
Mhm.
But we'd also like to have, some commitment to continue.
Right.
Again, we don't necessarily need this property to do the other one.
Right.
But it makes it a better project.
Sure.
And as far as that parcel goes, it's a 50-foot wide parcel between here and there, which doesn't give you access to anything else except a landlocked parcel behind it.
Yeah,
Right.
At the end of a
we're,
paper street that can't be getting to.
we are absolutely aware of that.
So what I would ask you is, what can we do? What is the most commitment that you can give to us?
I think perhaps if the board is okay with that you could accept the terms of the non-binding letter of intent, because they're non-binding, but it's kind of a straw poll for you to say, yes, because they are non-binding.
Right.
So I don't think we hurt ourselves by doing that.
What you present is a very exciting prospect in the future, with lots of hurdles to be, and because you've done this, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Could be 6 months, could be 7 years, as you said. So this is the beginning stages. That piece of property isn't going to be worth anything to us. And if it's going to be worth a lot to you, then at the appropriate time, you're going to have a board that's happy to be helpful.
Sure.
But I don't think this is the appropriate time. And I think
I agree.
the letter of intent, a much fuller letter of intent, and with our attorney having an opportunity to review the contract that you have with the school district, I think we'd be more comfortable than saying, we understand that that piece of property can be extremely helpful to you. It's not particularly helpful to us. At an appropriate time, we would be ready to transfer that property. Again, once all of the approvals are in place. And we could certainly give you access to the property if you need to have engineers come and take a look at it, or, you know, where you're gonna put the utilities. I think we could work out some kind of an
Yeah,
access.
this is all
agreement.
normal.
Yeah,
Normal stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
this is
just normal
done
things
a
that you do.
Sure, and as Bob mentioned, this is not a piece that we need, it's a piece that would make it a better project.
Of course.
So
Oh, yeah.
we're
Of
in
course.
good shape to that regard.
Sure.
I still would like to get you a contract versus a letter of intent.
Okay,
The letter
you
of
wanna
intent
wait?
is non-binding, you put your coffee on it, it
Yeah.
doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
But
but
I have
do
a
the
contract.
next month?
Yeah, I'll get it to you tomorrow, I have it teed up, I didn't know. what
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
yeah, that's fine, we'll just,
I'll
we'll,
hand deliver it to you tomorrow.
I can't wait.
I'm gonna make you some cookies.
Oh, okay.
But Jeff, as I said, it sounds very exciting. It would certainly be helpful for the school district, be helpful for the city, be helpful for people who want to be in the capital district but don't want to pay $500,000 for a 2-bedroom bungalow,
Sure.
you know? So we're glad that you're interested, and we're glad that you're willing to put money towards this. And we're hoping to be very helpful to you.
And I also understand your hesitation, you probably heard a lot of presentations over the years that we know.
Well, I was city attorney for 11 years.
Okay, so you.
So there's been a lot of smoke
Yeah.
and mirrors
Yeah,
that
and-
we've seen.
Yeah, and I've been in a lot of planning boards and town boards where a lot of those guys show up and then they just go away.
Yep,
So I respect that, so I hope I can prove old and
Sure.
wrong.
sure.
And the protections are really more for you,
Right.
honestly, than us,
Mhm.
because it protects you from having to purchase it
Mhm.
if those contingencies don't work out for you. Because you don't want to buy it early and just have it at the whim of what happens. So they protect both parties. And then that's the standard, Bob, you've probably been taught it, but it's a standard real estate contract, and
Well, Jeff and I have talked about it already and are prepared to get you something. like
Yeah, that's
Jeff
okay.
said tomorrow.
yeah.
And again,
Stress on it.
you obviously have due diligence with your engineers and with your lawyers with regard to what you need to do for the property. We have our due diligence requirements so that at some point in the future, if somebody says, well, why did you do that? It's clear why the board did that and based on the information that was provided.
We got a plan, right?
We're good, but thank you very much,
Yeah.
appreciate the time. And hopefully this works out and there'll be other opportunities that we can work together.
That'd be great.
Thank
Thank you for coming, Jeff.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rob.
After 9, Rob, I sleep in on Friday.
I just wanted to ask, is all of the property in the city or is some of it in the town?
It's all in the city.
It's all city owned
100%
property,
of it.
all
And
44
just
acres.
Also, there's another small parcel from another entity that we're considering doing veterans housing on.
Which one is that?
It's, you know,
It's not within this 44.
it's the other
It
property we talked
touches
about
it.
before.
Okay.
The lawyer.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Artica.
Yeah, oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, we dealt with the Partika property in a different meeting, at a different meeting. So we're aware of that property being a nice piece of property. Good luck.
Thank you all for your time.
You're very welcome.
See you, Bob.
Thanks for coming.
Irene, at
See you,
the,
Bob.
at the open, at the planning, the comprehensive plan meeting, the mayor had some plans for some housing off Widow Susan Road. Is this the same project? Oh, okay. So this is clearly, the city is, I mean, Mike was more than excited about this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean,
Where are we in the next, item on the agenda?
Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes, okay. Great.
Which, Sandy, you sent out revised minutes, which one? Which one was the revised one?
They're in your folders. And I emailed the revision also.
Yeah, no, you did. I was
Yeah.
looking through them and I'm thinking, which is which?
There was a typo in one of the resolutions.
Okay,
Sponsorship of a resolution.
yeah, it's not a big deal. Just was wondering. Okay,
Not all the way, not all the way. If someone wants to come.
All right, so, we'll take roll call for approval. Sandy, is that,
who made the
Well, I need
motion?
the sponsor in a second.
Yeah.
okay, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Dan and Bill?
Yes.
Okay. All right, roll call, Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Baya? Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Dearson?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes. Mr. Rossi, that's back over to you.
Okay, treasurer's report. About $1,096,000 in cash, 92,000 in restricted. That restricted number is going to go down because when we talk about the bills and invoice resolution, a few checks have gotten written on behalf of Five Corners Mobile. So that'll reduce our restricted cash. But overall, our cash is up about $16,000 for the month of February over January. So we're in good financial shape there. So then, bills and invoices, that's a resolution, and you can see that it's all standard stuff, except for, as I was saying, there is 3 checks cut on behalf of Five Corners Mobile, and that is for the loan that we approved. And those checks are being cut to the vendors that Mr. Otadi had mentioned prior for his equipment. So other than that, there's some pilots, Chuck's fees, Marco's fee, and the payroll for the month. So that's the bills and invoices.
Okay, motion to accept,
I'll make a motion to accept.
second.
Second.
Bill?
Okay. Roll call, Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Baya?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Dearson?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Rossi?
Yes.
Is this my opportunity to go over what I sent? All right, so it should be at the top part. It says, Emerson Industrial Development Agency Monthly Performance Review Framework. I am a firm believer in measuring any kind of work for the purposes of evaluating performance and identifying room for improvement. I think this is not a new method for how we should do work. This is just a new method for how we should review our performance. And I think we do a lot of great work that gets announced verbally here at this meeting. It gets attention throughout the month of meetings that are held, through opportunities like the one we just saw. But it doesn't get put down in a specific framework that, almost to a degree of, are we doing a good job or not? And this is the framework, this is the ways in which we can insert the work we're doing to be able to say, wow, we're doing great, or in areas where we could be doing better, or we're doing so good that frankly, we should be, establishing new goals. So if you look at section 1 under definitions, what we wrote down here are just the key terms when we say them out loud that everyone has a mutual understanding of. So I can explain them more in plain English, and these are all things that you can take home and read yourself. Objective is really just our goal. Like, what do we want to do? Do we want to create jobs? Do we want to buy properties? Do we want to have pilots? All reasonable goals to discuss. A KPI is a key performance indicator that allows you to be able to say, are we moving in the right direction on that goal? What evaluates us as achieving that goal? How can we measure it? And metric is the way that goes, or the title that goes along with KPI as the way to be able to say, are we reaching that goal? So if we did have a goal to have more pilots, because we believe pilots does bring industry to Amsterdam. Jobs could be a metric within that, and the key performance indicator could be 25 jobs created from pilots. This is just hypothetical. That's not what I'm saying that we should measure. I'm just giving you the definitions so that we can build them ourselves. Pilot, we know payment in lieu of taxes. And I like this too as a metric as well. It's kind of a metric in and of itself. The AIDA intervention test, should we get involved? Is there an incentive for us to be involved? What is that incentive? And, if we weren't involved, what would happen? And a good example of the proposal that we got here, say we said no, or we didn't get involved, what would happen to this project without AIDA? They kind of said it themselves, Jeff and John, they said, we'd be going forward with this project already, but without AIDA's involvement, we wouldn't be able to make it as optimal as possible. So it kind of gives you an idea in real time how we can identify what our goals are and how we can be marching towards those goals. So in objective 1, I identified, I think we should pick a handful of priority properties and understand, our objectives within them. Are we achieving our milestones? Are we, marching towards what we want to do? And frankly, it's not just the owner is always going to be AIDA here. As Joe's pointed out to me in several conversations before, a lot of stakeholders are involved. Like if we were to work on a project such as this one again, just to use it because it's fresh in our minds, the city's involved, potentially the town, utilities are involved, the state's involved. So we can't always be accountable for all success that happens in the city of Amsterdam because there's so many other variables that have to take place. We can't be considered a failure if these guys maybe don't pass an environmental inspection. But what we can do is control what's in our realm to be able to give them assets, give them pilots, give them whatever they need, properties to be able to fulfill it. So that's 1, picking specific properties for us to put our weight into. Objective 2 is, okay, can we come up with jobs for Amsterdam and link it to capital investment? Can we raise money? Can we create jobs from our work? Again, a lot of this is going to be shared with the city. A lot of it's going to be shared with maybe the school district. I'm trying to think of other stakeholders potentially in Amsterdam. It could be, different city departments. It could be recreation. It could also be economic development in the city. There's going to be a lot of stakeholders that we'll have to add here into this framework to say it's on us and 3 other stakeholders to make this work. Objective 3, I believe, is tax base. Understanding, all of our work, active pilots, did we reach revenue expectations of taxes now being paid, whether it's corporate taxes or even residential taxes now being paid in Amsterdam. With the Edward Street project, you can think of the residents that are moved in there. You can think of the employees at ICANN. You can think of the construction jobs, all from sales tax, property tax, and other taxes that are being paid in Amsterdam now because of that work. Lastly, I want to measure our coordination within the city. How many times are we meeting with the city? How many times do we have the city council represented? This is a good example. We can check off one today of being able to say that that we have an ongoing relationship with our stakeholders. We are making sure our objectives are mutual. And this is a way for us inside the city to be able to say, we're 1 + 1 = 3. That it's not AIDA's doing projects over here, the city's doing projects over there. It's that we're working together to attract business. We're working to create jobs, grow revenue together. And if we did it apart, we wouldn't be as complete. And I want to be able to mark down the properties we're talking about. I want to mark down the projects. And then I want to have a scorecard every month where reviewing what we did the previous month. Now, goes without saying, you know, we're probably not gonna be creating jobs every month, or we're gonna be doing, you know, investing in new properties every month. It might be a very quick review, but what it does do is show, you know, we're all under the same agreement, we're all, you know, not getting maybe sidetracked by other priorities. Our objectives here are pretty clean and simple. They're on priority properties, they're on tax-based revenue, they're on creating jobs, and they're on coordination with the city. And then if we stick to that, it kind of like breeds our culture of continuously always evaluating what we're trying to achieve here as a board. So I want you to use this time to ask some questions about this. I want to, you know, also you to read through it at home too, so that, you know, we just don't, you know, sit here and vote on it just today.
Chairman,
Yes.
Are you gonna, do this committee as a whole or break it down into committees?
I'd like to start out with the committee as a whole. I think it'd be a great idea to start doing it as committees. I'd like to crawl with this before we start running elsewhere, but if we do crawl fast, then let's start to run in other areas too. It's a great idea.
I have a question. The properties the sites that you're talking about advancing, Sandy sent out a list of properties that we own, I guess technically, which I was surprised that the length is 3 pages. I was under the impression we, you know, in our meeting, we owned a couple of little parcels here and there because we had to pick them up or something. Do we have plans? Is it those properties we're going to be concentrating on? Are we looking for the city to propose properties, or what's the deal?
I think you bring up a good point because, you know, we're going to be measuring things retention, and we're going to be measuring things net new. And I think, you know, your typical business has to go with that, you know, type of mentality too. Like, you know, for me in sales, I have to keep my current customers happy. I also need to go out and get new customers too. So I think the answer is both. I think for net new property development, and I think that's where most of our time is going to be, but we can't also ignore the existing AGTs of the world, let's say, who, you know, pay us a lot in revenue, are a great use case, have brought jobs here. I think if we did not include them in this list, we'd be, you know, dismissing one of our, you know, frankly, more loyal partners in all of our objectives.
One of our successes, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, I got a question. How are we gonna choose the properties that we're gonna promote?
That's a good point. I mean, sometimes it's like, you know, throwing something up against the wall and seeing what sticks. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to, you know, adjust as needed to and throw those out there. The good thing is about Amsterdam, it's a finite city. You know, we don't have endless properties to be able to do things with, and a lot of what we do, what we talk about, we've already ruled out some properties. We've already, you know, maintained that Chalmers is a big priority for us. So there are some things that are just going to be automatics on that list.
And are you gonna pick like size? Are you gonna group them together, like larger projects, smaller projects?
You know, just probably, you know, the larger projects will take a little bit more priority. And, you know, we'll still probably keep the small ones on there too. But, you know, it's also the fact that we're putting them on paper and realizing, hey, you know what, we have this property's small. We haven't paid attention to it in a while. It's not meeting any of our goals. Why don't we do something with it? Why don't we sell it? Why don't we get rid of it? You know, so the idea of measuring now creates action for us.
So you're gonna review it every 12 months or
Yeah,
whatever?
Yeah, because in here too, we have like a monthly review of how well we're doing. And then, you know, we need to also review these goals. We might try something out for 3 months and be like, that took a lot of work. It really wasn't helpful to pay in the butt. Let's remove it. This is going to be a working framework, meaning this can be edited and we can establish new goals when we need to.
I have a question. Does this tie into our mission statement?
It's going to, because, you know, creating industry in Amsterdam is what this is all about. If we're on here saying, you know, we're going to set up, you know, a recreation basketball tournament, well, that's the mission of another organization here within the city.
Right.
You know, we have to make sure that what we're doing aligns with our priorities.
At the last meeting, we had a discussion about this kind of, your point here, strategic planning.
Yeah.
And I told Joe I'd be happy to work with him on, get a framework. If Joe can just kind of give us an idea of where we are, what we've done, and then what we intend to do. It addresses what you're saying. Right now, it's all oral. We should have a document that we can present that says, here's what AIDA has done in the past, here's what we're working on now, and here's where we think we need to go. And it doesn't have to be a huge, complicated document, but there should be a document that kind of gives us an opportunity, however many meetings we need to take a look and say, as you said, is this a piece of land we should be working on developing, or should we get rid of it? That sort of thing. So I think this is a great idea.
Good, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, Sandy has a list of all the projects going back 15 years.
Right.
And I think if she's compiled that and puts it on paper, sometimes we discuss it here, but when you see what is involved on paper, it gives you a good idea of the evolution of AIDA or the progress of AIDA.
Sure, and a lot of us hadn't been on the board for 15 years. So you bring up something which is complete news to the new members.
Yeah.
If we had a list like that, we could then refer and say, oh, okay, this was done 15 years ago or whatever. I'm sure a lot was done. But we should have it in a written form so that everybody has it, new members come in, they get it. So we're not sitting here thinking, what are they talking about?
I agree.
Yeah.
You got
I
it.
agree.
Yeah, that's, in my job too, of building software products,
Right.
if a new engineer joins the team,
Yeah.
do they have to sit next to the people who've been there for 30 years
Sure.
to get for 3 months to learn everything? Or could they maybe read some of the latest documentation and this is where the team's
Yeah, that
at
would
so
be
that they
really
can be
helpful.
productive in a week?
So when I was in private practice, we had a procedure manual for the office, opening files, closing files, things like that. How do we keep track? How do we make sure there's no conflicts of interest if we're representing somebody? When I went to family court, I said, do you have a procedure manual? And the chief clerk at the time, Donna, who was a wonderful person, said, no. I said, well, there are certain steps that need to be taken. How is that done? Well, we talk about it. I tell them. I said, well, if there are 12 steps to open a file, how often do you have to go back over it? Shouldn't we have a procedure manual? So we eventually developed a procedure manual. So when some new clerk comes in and you say, how do I open a file? It's right there. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Chuck's nodding, and you probably have that in your office.
Absolutely.
So it's a great idea. And then we're not, as I said to Donna, we're not all around the campfire doing an oral history.
Yeah.
We've got written.
I do it at the restaurant.
Sure.
Every item is just page by page.
You
exactly
gotta
how to
know.
make it. Yeah.
You gotta know.
Yeah.
And new people come in.
Yeah.
And you've got to give them
Yeah,
something.
you can open it up and say, this is what we
This
do.
is how we do it. So,
Yeah,
so it's a great idea.
I love taking stories from everyone's industry too and applying it to it. So
Yeah.
that's very cool. And I also want to fill this out retroactively too, because a lot of what's in here is aligned to the work that we're already doing
Correct.
and we're already saying. So it's not like, oh man, we got to start from zero. No, we've already been creating jobs. We've already have pilots.
Right.
So a lot of this will be filled in, retroactively, and we'll have a starting point already of, hey, we're doing pretty good in a lot of these areas.
So what I think we need is just the background if Sandy can give it to us. And then Joe can kind of just flesh out a kind of plan And I had said to Joe, I am happy to sit down, once we have that, to kind of go over it and, you know, should we make this more extensive or less extensive? Should we get to a point where, I think you pointed out, Mike, maybe we should be asking the city for more resources. And we can then present to the city, look, here's what we've done, but if you give us some more resources, but we have to be in a position to do that. So I
So,
think the first step is Sandy and Joe just giving us
And if,
a skeletal
and if
outline.
Pat or Mike, you're the senior members on the board, and I go back with you too. Reply to the email that I sent out to everyone regarding a response to the initial email that went out from the mayor's office was to all of us. So if you have any, like Dan just put together his idea here.
Right.
So if you have time, respond to it and say, I know Pat, earlier we were talking about projects we did, the Sentinel, the AGT, I mean, things that are kind of not, you know, not that far away, but they are still alive and well.
Right, but for instance, I have no idea what happened with regard to Sentinel.
Right.
No
Or
idea.
Chalmers, like the history of
Right.
Chalmers. I mean,
Yeah.
Chalmers was going to be a privately owned piece of property.
I mean, Sentinel was that was an empty
That was a big-
building.
yeah,
was
that was the
a
old
Huge venture.
Holiday Inn that just
Holiday
got
Inn.
demolished and, yeah.
It's
But-
doing well now.
So the point, and I think the chairman makes the very good point. Yes, we have that information, but let's put it together in a document. So all of us have that information. So all of us can see Sentinel and get a little history. Okay, how did it come to us? What did we do? Was it successful? Apparently it's been very successful, but we need that document.
Allows
And-
you guys to blow your horn a little bit,
Yeah, oh,
to
absolutely.
show everybody that we don't, we do stuff.
Oh, we do, sure.
Yeah, that's great.
But it's gotta start in skeletal form,
Yeah.
I think, with Joe and
Oh, good.
so.
Well, whatever you want to.
yeah, so I think, as you were saying, Phil, after this meeting, I'll work with Joe and Sandy to start filling in the framework. And I'm gonna work with Phil directly too on refining some of the numbers.
Happy to do that.
And then I would, and a lot of this is based on me and me getting, to work on this, but I'd love to be able to be in a position next month to vote on it and say, and have discussion too of, you know what, I don't know if number of jobs is a good measurable
Yeah,
and, what that means.
that
Something.
next month may be a little optimistic, because I'm guessing that there's an awful lot of information, there's an awful lot of history. So maybe the next couple of months. Because I think that's, even in skeletal form, it's gonna be a lot for Sandy and Joe to do. But once at least we get the skeletal form, then we can really beef it up.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And what I also don't want to do too is go so complicated with this that it's hard to use, it's hard to read. It's got to be easy for all of us.
Yeah.
And updatable for all of us.
Right.
So that it's stoplight charts. Like
Right.
we're green on 3 areas, we're yellow on 2, red on 1.
Right.
Well,
Right.
Maybe we should put our priorities there. So,
The simpler the better
yeah,
with the histories,
yeah.
like the Sentinel, for instance, it could be a small paragraph. How it came to AIDA, what AIDA did, and what's happening with it now. Doesn't have to be complicated.
That United Way building, that was a process that took over years.
Yeah.
The funding came through. We had to completely deviate from AIDA's position because we were buying a rental property. We were getting into the rental business as a venture to acquire money. And the project was like drips and drabs with state funding and we would complete it in phases. So it was a 2-year process, or maybe even
A
more.
long time.
And we were landlords.
And then we were
Trying to get it,
landlords for
yeah.
a while because the rules said we couldn't sell it until we maintain the residencies for a period of time. And so it was really a Hercules.
I was a property manager.
You said it was the property manager.
Oh, what a thankless job.
Building, please.
We were basically
I'm done.
landlords.
Shoving sidewalks.
Thankless.
I'm done.
Jerry and Mike McCain.
Yeah.
How about the before Emmalou, the businesses that went in there that failed?
Emmalou, yeah.
That's
Sure. And of course, the point is,
I meant before.
I don't know, I've been on the
Cookie.
board for a couple of years now. I don't know anything about that.
And that's what, making work,
Right,
Making our-
Quesadilla guy.
making our goals and our performance visible
Right.
helps mitigate risk too.
Right.
That, rather than, I thought you were working with Pat on that. Well, I
Right.
was working with Phil.
Right.
He said, something about it.
Right.
Now it's all members know, all members can weigh in.
Someone's kind of funny, the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Chief Strongbow was pictured in there. This is things we're bragging about. Inviting people to go to the Wrestling Hall of Fame, and the landlord was upstairs. I think he was a wrestler.
maybe we could coax the Homeland Security designate, Senator Mullen, who was a mixed martial arts guy. And actually, at one of the Senate hearings, wanted to get into a fight with the Teamster president.
Oh, there's a.
Yeah,
there,
With
That's a good.
Senator Bernie Sanders saying, sit down, you're a US Senator, sit down.
Picture of Chief Strongbow. Dominic DeNucci. And we're promoting it, telling people to go to.
Anyway,
That'd be great.
so I think it's a great idea, and I think getting that skeletal form is the first step.
Thanks everyone for your
Okay.
comments there. I think we can pivot over to Mr. Reports.
I just don't have much. We did the stuff here for the closing. We took care of the loan for Marco Tati at 5 Quarters Mobile. It's just like Mike said, the money's being paid out to vendors. Tati's providing, receipts and things that need to be paid or have been paid. So that process is ongoing, and the interest rate's the same. The total amount is 50 grand the same. And we won't start repayment on the loan until all the money has been dispersed. So that gives him time, because I know I didn't want to mention the fryers. I don't really want to go with the price chopper, chicken fryers again. I know we could just lay that one to bed, but he's still looking at better pricing and things. So don't start.
I can sit
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on the fried chicken?
No, we're all set.
We have a real proponent of fried chicken right next to me.
I can't wait till he gets it all together.
Jojo potatoes, don't forget. Jojo potatoes.
The fact.
Oh, I miss Mohawk Dorito. I really do.
Yeah.
You're missing the chikorama.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Chikorama,
Way back.
yeah.
That was fine, I'm done.
Mr. Emmanuel.
I met with Klaus Beckman. That's one of the oldest active buildings, industrial building that we own, and the city, in the city of Amsterdam, is a 1929 construction back in the day.
Where's that, Joe?
It is located behind the DPW, where the DPW headquarters is. There's a big structure back there, part of the carpet mills, and we acquired it. I don't know how, but way back in the day. But Klaus Beckman has been a great tenant. He emailed me and he said there's a fire hydrant leaking, and he thought that the fire hydrant was going to possibly, something could flood his inventory. So I went down with city officials, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. And as soon as the weather breaks, the city's they've committed to go down and shut the water off to that hydrant. That hydrant is probably a 1929 model, and they don't even make hoses. The fire chief went down to see if the hydrant was an active one, and He doesn't even have hoses that would fit a 2.5-inch valve. So that was taken care of. We kept Klaus happy. He's been a good tenant over the years, as I said. AGT, I met with the CEO, the new CEO, who was a assistant to Mr. Bresney at the time. He's looking to buy a large generator and air compressor for their operations. You're talking about $150,000 purchase. So I brought him in to meet with Dan Gray and I to see if there could be any kind of grants that could help them out. Unfortunately, grants are not, the state grants I found out are like 20% and 40%, where the owner has to pay 80 and 60 of the price. So it's something. I also spoke to Ken Rose and said, Ken, if the grant doesn't look promising, and I also we had Danielle Dwelly on the line too in this office. And I called Ken Rose after and I said, Ken, AGT might need a loan. And so Ken Rose says he can float them a loan for the entire purchase at a very, very reasonable percentage interest rate. So that was an option that I think if we can't get, a lot of these grants are more like $500,000 to $2 million grant applications, where this is $150,000. So hopefully we can get them happy. Sumit sent me an email and he said he was very disappointed, but he is being very optimistic. The next round opens up for Edward Street in late summer, and his team is ready to resubmit. ICANN, who is going to partner with them, remains committed to the project. And Sumit said he spoke to people from the state and they scored very highly, although the governor was a little leaning toward the projects that were in central New York, because we're in that same Mohawk Valley economic development circle. So he feels very confident that we're going to get the funding for the next round. He also remains very optimistic about phase 2, and phase 2 of that project was those other parcels and sheds and garages that were part of the rest of those properties. And he said that 11 Edward Street has just been put on the market. That's the old chemical building that's on, I think, the corner of James and Edward. So he's
Just behind it,
just behind
just behind the corner.
James.
There's a house on the corner and it's right to the.
Is that with the
right of it.
Ukraine flag on the
Yes.
front?
Yes.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was used as a motorcycle club.
Was that where okay, that was the motorcycle club. Well, anyway, he wants to do another project. He's committed. If we're interested, he wants to do a family housing, not senior. The senior will be phase 1, and a family commitment would be, housing would be phase 2.
The Edward Street property?
Yes.
Okay.
So if he's estimating the costs between $400,000 and $500,000 for all the property, the parcels. So
New part.
It's an
the
equal
new
size
phase
to
2.
where phase 1 is.
Phase 1 is set.
It's the left side of it, but it's an equal size.
Is
Okay.
this a different phase 2 than?
No, this was the original plan.
The severed property.
Does that cover all the other buildings? There's 2 that are for sale or?
Yes,
now.
yes.
So Ray put it on the market?
No.
No,
Ray's
the
is
building in
still
front of it.
there and on the market. The one that went on the market is the chemical brick, the big brick industry.
You think Ray's bad?
But that's something that the board, we can discuss at a later date if the board wants to move on that. I think, we can talk. I'd like to see phase 1 start, and then once phase 1 is started, I think we could kind of shift gears and see what we want to do about phase 2.
1 being the senior?
Phase 1 being the senior, yes.
That one up there.
Yes.
Phase 1 would be ICANN.
Right.
Dan Gray said that he has additional environmental EPA money, so that if we did do phase 2, he can put that money toward the environmental testing, like phase 1, phase 2 of the phase 2. Also, the land bank could be involved because the land bank now wants to have any demolitions have a project behind them. So if they demolish something, they want to know that there's a project happening, and this would be ideal, this phase 2. Okay? And I have been in discussion with Chris Carpenter and Dan Gray throughout that whole process. East Main Street, 2022, the building that was right next to, it's in the vicinity of the Riverside Pizza, the building that was condemned. There's a developer interested in bringing that back to life, and
Commercial or residential or?
mixed use. And they had a meeting. I was invited. I couldn't make it. I was working, but I've been in touch with Mike Clark. Actually, I put the developer in touch with Mike Clark, who's our city engineer, and Mike was able to tell him that the building is salvageable, but it's going to need a lot of work. And that's one of those $1 million restore, like similar to a Restore New York grant, where the developer has to put up the $1 million, and then after the receipts are all submitted, the person gets that $1 million back. And I think,
Joe, is that a change? Because I thought that building had to come down.
well, they were thinking about bringing it down, but they thought, the structural engineers thought that if you take it down, it might cause a little weakening of both of the other two buildings.
Okay.
So they'll leave it there, and then to support the structure, Clark is thinking, to rehab it. Probably that may be a better way to go.
That's the one that had a fire.
That's the one that the fire, and remember I think Chris Carpenter was interested, or not Chris Carpenter,
No.
Chris Mancini, one of our
Yeah.
former board members, was interested in doing that.
I think it's lacking the roof, correct?
Somewhat.
But it sounds optimistic.
Yeah.
It's a project, and they will probably come to us for a pilot. So there's Dan's checklist for a pilot. The West End Fusillo parcels. The realtor has been a little slow in replying, but he just sent me an email today, and he said, Joe, sorry for the delay. Ownership, which is the Fusillo company, is considering the idea that you wanted me to present, that why don't they gift it to us as a tax write-off? Mm-hmm. And he said, but has to discuss with the board. There must be some board. Believe you can understand this, and I agree. I will update you when I know more. So right now it's in limbo.
And of course, the only question would be very nice if they give it to us. However, what's there?
What's
what's
underneath?
under there?
Right.
And, because it was a car dealership, and I'm sure they changed oil.
Yeah.
So what are we getting?
Plus,
We'd have to check on that.
Plus, I'm a little reluctant buying a piece of property without a plan for the property as well. But that's a discussion that I'm going to continue with Dan and the mayor. So we'll keep that alive.
Good.
So other than that, I meet with Sandy on a regular basis. We keep the office going, and so I'm good. Dan?
Great, good report, Joe. Thank you for a lot of this. I think a lot of that can go into some of the things that you're doing rather well.
Absolutely.
A lot of properties in there. I think we move on to the committee report.
One other thing I just want to make mention. This week into, I think it started yesterday, Thursday, Friday, is the New York State Brewers Association convention at the City Center in Albany. Dan Shear, he and I from Saratoga Associates had a great conversation regarding Chalmers, and the pictures up there. No, the ones that are on the file cabinet, Jim, just hold that up for a second. That's what I brought to the economic summit. And Dan is going to bring those to the Brewers Summit this week, and he is going to push it for possibly a brewer.
Jim, show that to the camera.
For a brewer to, thank you, for a brewer to come to Chalmers and work with a construction company to build something on the Chalmers. So it's another, chance of development on the Chalmers. So, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a good,
Yep.
I don't think we have anything in committee reports or old business. So I think,
I've got one thing.
yeah,
Just revisiting, Mike, I wasn't able to make the last meeting that we had regarding Five Corners. Did we ever come up with a plan for redoing our credit app?
We have not.
We have not. That's something
We talked about that at the last meeting, and we were talking about what committee would do it, making the reports, at least one report, not the first 10 pages, the next 10 pages,
Right.
taking out the redundancy, talking about just having a FICO score instead of a report, numerous things like we had in Jerry's application.
Okay.
Pat has his AI one.
I gave you an AI one, it was great. You don't like that?
I did.
all right, I think we can move on to the,
We can skip number 12.
the resolution for the parcel sale.
We're gonna skip that, shall we?
Yeah.
We're gonna pull that resolution.
Yeah.
Any other business? Executive sessions?
I move to adjourn.
Oh, wait, could I have an executive session for a financial matter, or is that not allowed? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll tell Joe, and Joe can pass it on to the board.
okay.
Okay.
All right, never mind.
How about pins and needles?
Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah.
Well, if we can have, a,
I can't make a determination.
Yeah, we gotta have more information before we can say, okay, this is or isn't appropriate for an executive.
I was just gonna update you on a
Okay.
financial on a
All right,
loan possibility,
okay,
No, that would
a loan pool possibility, no?
no,
be, no.
Okay, then I can't speak.
Well, we had 80-something thousand, right, in the,
We have
JFA.
92, we're gonna
and
spend.
minus 50, so we have around 40.
Yeah, no, this is something additional to that.
okay.
Okay.
I'll talk to Joe after and he can pass it along.
I once again make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay.
Hang on.
Bill and Michael.
Mike,
Okay.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Mr. Beerman?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Cortez?
yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good, Chairman.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you very much. Very good.